Don't let your dreams be dreams. Nothing is impossible.
Hey everybody, we're back again with another multi-tool. I just reviewed the Leatherman Signal the other day, and if you want, here's a link, like right here, and you can check it out if you haven't seen it yet, and if you have and you liked it, thank you. What are you doing? Go lay down. So this is a very eagerly anticipated multi-tool. I've been waiting for it for a while. Leatherman produces really solid multi-tools. They do a really good job with the stuff they make. This one is called the Free, which is just like that. It does quite a few things differently. It's the first Leatherman that I know of that incorporates magnets into the build, so it uses magnets for two types of retention that we'll go over, but it uses magnets in some really surprising ways that I had not anticipated. Like, everybody knows the original one, so what the big draw of this is that if you only had one hand and you needed to open a multi-tool, you can do that, right? And that's pretty crazy. There's not a lot of multi-tools that can, as far as I know, no multi-tools that can do it in that kind of ball of song, butterfly knife style way, where once you open it, there's no drag on those bearings at all. They completely just open, and it's a very easy multi-tool to open one-handed. And not only is the plier part of it accessible like that, all of the regular tools, I don't have to open this. It's locked right now, right? And I don't have to do anything. If you're doing stuff with your other hand, holding onto a ladder, you know, this is a great tool for that. And let's go take a look at it and see what the pros and cons, and did Leatherman hit the mark or did they miss it on this one? But this is the Leatherman P4, and they also have a P2, I think, and the P2 costs a little less and has a couple less bells and whistles, but they're similar. They do that a lot with their stuff. Leatherman will have several levels of accessories. You got two blades, right? So on one side you have a serrated blade, and then on the other side you have a straight blade. Fairly high hollow grind. I'll chop my fingers off because I need them. On this side you got some scissors, and you got a saw. People have mixed feelings about saws on multi-tools. I've used them a couple times to cut through stuff that was like really fibrous. And the scissors, I love scissors on a multi-tool. I'm always bummed when they don't put scissors in a multi-tool, and these ones are cool. One thing that's weird on these is they're starting to break in a little better, but they weren't locking. See right now, like all the other tools, if you pop them open like that, they lock. Like, see, instant lock. You just gotta kind of give them a little push, and it'll kick in, and that torsion bar will kick the scissors open, so you have that resistance so that you don't have to like push and pull. They open as you use them. Something that's interesting with these on this line, this is the first time I've ever seen this on a Leatherman tool, but right there you can see there's like these little spurs under here. If you take your thumb and you roll your thumb across right there, it kicks open all of them, like all the tools in that section, but then you can kind of splay them out and pick what you need. So if you needed, you know, the flathead screwdriver, and bam, and then it locks. All the tools lock, like all the tools and both sides of the handle lock on here. On this side, you only have two tools on this side. They're really thick on here, and it's a Phillips and a flathead and a bottle opener. Pivots on here are really good. Like, that's one thing I really like on here. All the pivots, the pliers, everything's super smooth on here. They're almost like bearing quality smoothness. Good job on that. So the locks on here, all the tools have a little notch in the back, and as it goes, you can see right there, there's a T-bar that goes across the back right here. That T-bar pops out, and as they fall into place, it snaps down. This is kind of a departure for Leatherman. They previously, like if you look on the Signal, this is a lot more common for them. You're taking out a tool, press down back here, right? So if you had a tool out for like this one, like one thing that's cool about the Free, all the tools are accessible with the pliers closed, right? So the pliers are together and I can get to any tool in here. With the Free, everything, there are no accessible tools from the inside. So once you open it up, it's pliers all day from the inside of the tool, but everything is externally located, which is smart. You're never gonna need the tools while you're in plier mode, but you're gonna need them when you're not. Yeah, so like with the Signal, so with the two of these, you'd have to open the Signal, like let's say I wanted to get a screwdriver out. You take the multi-tool, open it up, pry out what you're looking for, close it, do what you're doing, and then open it up again, press the back lock and close it. You know, there's a lot of stuff getting in the way. With this, let's say I wanted to use the same thing. I wanted to use a screwdriver, up and over, and that's it. It's out, you can use it to do whatever, and then you can close it again without opening the plier. So a lot of people are talking about how there's magnets in here and they're in the handles, and their purpose is to keep this shut so it doesn't drop open, and when you pinch them together, it disengages them, and then you just swing it around and you got your pliers. It's really easy to do. And with a little bit of trial and error, you can close them one-handed too, just like that. I was really worried about getting my fingers all pinched up doing that, but it's not, there's nothing really that sharp on the inside. Very easy to manipulate one-handed, which is super cool. The other thing that the magnets in here do that's, I think, ingenious is that the tools in here, let me see if I can show you. Let's see, so if we open up, I'm gonna get these out of the way. Something cool, let's see if we can get this on camera. Get something to point with. If you look, right in here, there's a big bar magnet, and that's what keeps the handles together. But the other thing that it does, that's actually the retention for the tools, which I think is super cool. Like, so as you bring the screwdriver shut, let's see if I do it really slow, you might be able to see it. See that? It clicked in. That's the magnet pulling it shut. Now it's not gonna drop back out because that magnet holds it. See if we can do it again. Right there. See how it just pulls them shut? It's not using like a detent ball or like a slip joint. It's using the magnet to catch the bottom of the tool and hold it into the handle, which I think is pretty cool. Like, I think that's a super smart way. Using magnets as a retention is smart because they're not very hard to override, but they're enough that it won't, from inertia, it's not gonna pop out. But then if you just use your thumb, you can roll them back out again. So good job, Leatherman. That was some smart stuff. Like, keep that function in your tools. I liked it. There's no pocket clip on here at all. And I don't know if they have an optional one. Some of the tools will have like a gap to put a pocket clip on, but I didn't see one on here. But they do have a lanyard attachment point, but it's really weird and it's located in a strange place. If you put like, let's say you took P cord and you put a lanyard on there, when you open it, now you can have a lanyard like hanging out right here, which seems like it could potentially get caught. But I would prefer to have it down here. I'm not really sure why they didn't mount it on this side, because it wouldn't get in the way. Maybe it might get in the way of the lock right there. I read on one of the forums, they were saying that it's actually kind of an homage throwback to one of the early Leathermans that had a very similar lanyard attachment point. So that magnet system that holds the handles together also has a really interesting latching system. So as you bring the pliers around, so right now they're still loose, right? Everything's moving around. These two little kind of T-shaped flanges right here, as you bring them in, they click in, and now it's in, right? So now it's not going anywhere, but you can override them really easily. But that's where the magic happens right there. You got those two flanges that snap into place. Something else that's really cool that happens when you do that, you're out here, you know, all the tools in the handle just kind of are accessible, right? Leatherman usually does a thing where they have like these little kind of ramps, like this Charge has it. If you look at the back of the tool, there's these two little ramps, and as you bring the tool over, a little stud kind of extends right there and it keeps the knife from opening. So now the knife is retained. So they didn't do that on this one. These click in, now that T-shaped flange is above the tools and you can't get these out. But, and this is like another one of, this isn't a huge pet peeve, but this was kind of something that surprised me. The scissors are a little too short and they don't get caught by that safety feature. So like when you have the pliers out, the scissors can still open. So the knife does get caught, right? So the knife gets caught. The knife is that much longer, right? So the knife is there and the scissors are there. Maybe 1/3 of an inch, 1/4 inch. Leatherman, just make that pair of scissors a little bit longer and then they'll get retained by the handle. You don't have to worry about scissors flying out into your hand while you're cutting stuff, because everything else in here is secure. The highlighted feature of these, the one-handed open, definitely works great. That works fantastic, and with a little practice, I haven't lost any skin to this yet, you can close them very easily. And it's really cool. One of my favorite things to do with this so far is if you get it open, then you have it right here as you that's it. That's it. There's no switch to flick, you know. As you bring it back over, you got these two parts, they slide together. That's the whole thing. That's it. So you got it here. This is probably one of my peeves. If you look at this knife, everything on this side is flush, right? So by design, it's got nice profile right here, right? On the other side, everything is flush but the knife. I get why they did it, because for the access hole and to get it out, you need to be able to, you know, get in there. I like the thickness of how thick the knife is on here. I just wish there was some way they could have made it fit in the handle better. But I was showing you the handle tools earlier. 1, 2, you got a Phillips and a flathead, these really beefy thick ones. And on the other side, you got a file, and then it's also a smaller screwdriver. Then you got a standard kind of flathead. Getting really close in territory to this one. So these two tools right here, pretty similar. And then this one has a ruler on the back, but these two are kind of close. And then you got a micro screwdriver / awl. Let's get this out of the way. But these 5 tools, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are all screwdrivers. Let's take a look. So like the Charge right here, it swivels out and it's a replaceable bit driver, and you can put whatever bits you want in there, right? And then the Charge is actually overkill on what I'm talking about. So what I'm getting at is I want a removable bit driver in the free. So you got 5 tools that do the job of basically like one of these almost, right? So if you have, this one has a Phillips and a Phillips, but if you had a combination Phillips flathead bit in here, this one tool would do almost the job of all of these, with the exception of like the awl. That's a huge amount of handle real estate. Like that's a huge amount of tools in there that do what one of these does. What's even more important to me is that if I really go after like something, if I'm really using that screwdriver aggressively and I break it, you do it on here, your only option is to either replace the individual tools or replace the whole tool, and these aren't cheap. You want to replace the tool, you'd have to send it to Leatherman and they'd probably swap out that piece, or you could try to do it yourself if you could get a hold of a replacement piece. So the Signal has a good one. So just one like this, right? Where you just have this little guy right here, pivots out. Now you have, like this one has a combination Phillips flathead. That's all you need, right? Phillips flathead, or if you have some like weird need for like a Torx driver or something, but they make them in all sorts of flavors. So you could pick, you could pick what you want as the user, and if you break it, all you gotta do is replace this tiny little piece, which is awesome. For some reason they decided not to put one in here. I think a lot of people have been kind of upset about that one. That's probably the #1 comment I see online about, are you happy with this or not, is there's no removable bit driver. So let's do like a little size comparison. So you get the free, this is the Leatherman OHT. I love and hate this multi-tool. From a carrying it around perspective, I hate it. It's huge and like massively it's almost like the size of a TV remote. It's a big multi-tool. The reason I brought it out is because one of the focuses of the free is that it's one-handed, and the OHT was marketed as a one-handed multi-tool. And you pinch these two side parts, and then when you push down, it pops out. And the pliers on this come straight out the front, right? So they come right out the front, and then you can do that with one hand and do your stuff. But it's huge and bulky. And this is not easy to put back single-handed either. Pretty much have to two-hand close that. Or you got the free, like way easier. Here's a Charge, which is an older multi-tool. You got the Skeletal. Skeletal is one of my personal favorites just because it's so light. So this is another one-handed multi-tool, and so I was getting grief from a friend the other day about being a 100% Leatherman faithful only multi-tool owner. There's not a ton of other options for really good multi-tools. If you're another company besides Leatherman and you'd like me to review your multi-tool, feel free to send it on over. But this one's made by SOG. I actually really dig this one. It's called the Switch Plier. There's a button right here, and when you want to use your pliers, hit that, and now you got pliers, right? So that's about as easy as it gets. Folding it back up one-handed is a little bit tricky. These two are neck and neck for ease of use single-handed. It really boils down to what do you want out of the rest of the tools, right? Maybe one day I'll review the Switch Plier. This is not a Leatherman only channel. And then here's the Signal. I would say the free is like a medium-sized multi-tool. Like if we were to put them in order from largest to smallest of what's on the table right here. Hold a second. So that's kind of from like largest to smallest. Not so much height-wise, but like weight-wise. Although these two are kind of tricky because the Charge is a lot beefier and weightier. So like weight-wise, that would be closer, but length-wise, it's a little bit longer than the Charge. And then let's see. So that's what they look like all open. And it's interesting. If you look at it, for being kind of middle of the road, it's larger when when the pliers are opened up. You get a pretty good amount of tool to grab onto, right? So like that's always, nobody wants short handles on pliers. So the free P4, here's a recap. What I do like, build quality is great. It's funny, when I originally saw the promo pictures of this, I thought these were scales. Like I thought these were actually separate pieces of metal that were attached in some manner. And it's like, I like it. I like that they add a little bit of traction and they have some like tactile feel to it, these little kind of like raised areas. I wish they were scales, and like who knows, maybe one day do like a multi-tool that has exchangeable scales. Have like micarta and G4, have like G10 or micarta, or carbon fiber or whatever people want, or titanium. But that'd be kind of cool to have swappable scales on a multi-tool, just like one more little option. Ooh, brass ones. Brass, I'm a sucker for brass, so brass scales would be super cool. But yeah, pros, build quality, great. Leatherman always makes really good stuff. Their stuff is solid. Tools I really like that everything on here is accessible from the outside, right? So you have the 2 blades, the saw, the scissors, 5 different screwdrivers, a file, a bottle opener, an awl. All that stuff. There's nothing you have to open it up for except for the pliers, which that's a great way to do it. That's how it should always be done. I like that. Oh, there's something. I wonder if this is openable from an inverted grip. Ugh, super smooth. Nope. Don't do that. But yeah, the only thing that's accessible from this position is the pliers, and that's how it should be. Like that should be, you shouldn't be, using a knife like that. Yeah, really cool. That never gets old. That like never ever gets old. Pros wise, I'm like 90% on board with this, right? Like 90% of this is awesome. The things that I don't like are the non-removable bit driver, which just kills it for me. For some people that might not be a problem, but for me, I'm kind of bummed about that. You wreck those screwdrivers, it's gonna be a serious pain in the butt. I mean, you pay a pretty good amount of money for these. I mean, I think Leatherman has a solid, you know, if you break it under normal use, we'll fix it for you kind of, you know, policy for their stuff, but still like then you know, you don't have your tool, you gotta wait for it to get fixed. If this cost an extra like 15 to 20 bucks for the removable bit driver, I would totally buy it. Like no questions, I think it's a worthwhile purchase. Plus you can fit other stuff in the handles in all those 5 screwdriver spots, right? So I don't know what else you'd want to put in there, but you have a huge amount of tool space that you open up by putting a removable, that one's gonna get me all day long, by putting a removable bit driver in there. So yeah, I really like the magnet stuff. The magnet stuff is great. The single-handed opening is awesome. The single-handed opening action on here is a deal maker. That's awesome. Like just even talking to you right now, I'm trying to think of like the things I wanted to go over, and I'm multitasking 2 things at once while talking to you and opening this. That's pretty awesome. Like I'm not really thinking about what my hand's doing right now, and I haven't dropped it. I haven't, you know, cut myself. Everything's going that I know of. Look down and I'll be missing like 3 fingers. But yeah, great design on that. Works great. It's fantastic. This is a side tangent, but Rhodes Wireless Go mic system. So I have their version of a lav mic right here. As of now, I really like it. I actually decided to not run the line directly in camera, and I got a Sony digital recorder. Actually, watch this. This is gonna be like a movie in a movie. And so that's what my audio situation looks like right now. So this recorder transmits to this receiver, which transmits to this audio recorder, and then I can just sync up everything later. It seems like a good fit so far. I don't know, we're gonna find out. Hopefully that answered all your questions. If you have any more questions about the Leatherman Free, hit me up in the comments or hit me with a message and just, you know, fire away. If you like what's going on here, give me a subscribe or a like or throw me a comment. You know, those are all the things that keep a channel going, and I'd appreciate it. It'd be a big favor to me. Yeah, all right, well, until next time, I don't know what I'm gonna review next, but I'll see you then. All right, bye.